Tennessee This Week from WATE's 6 on Your Side starts now.
Hello and welcome to Tennessee This Week. Good to be with you. I'm Don Hudson. Early voting gets underway on Wednesday, and today we are hearing from two of the candidates who will be on that ballot. Republican Congressman Tim Burchett and his Democratic opponent, Jane George, each running for Tennessee's 2nd congressional district. And today we are going to hear from each of them, beginning with the challenger, Jane George. And thank you very much for being here and being with us.
Thank you for having me. I'm going to ask you
a number of questions for you and for Tim as well. I want to start because poll after poll, and I just looked at the latest ones to find out, have the economy as the #1 issue. Doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or Republican, rich or poor, that seems to be the biggest issue with prices and inflation and affordability and houses. Your policies, your plan to deal with the economy and inflation.
Absolutely. Well, first of all, thanks for having me here today. It's good to be here as the 6th generation in Tennessee and talking about these issues that are affecting people here locally. In terms of inflation, inflation is actually down at the moment. It's the lowest it's been since 2021. So we're slowing down, and that's what we want.
Growth, but not the overall. I mean,
but we are slowing down. Yeah. One of the biggest issues we're seeing, at least with people that I'm talking to, is just the cost of groceries. It's a big problem.
Right.
And the reality is the government does not control the price of groceries. And we certainly don't want that. You know, that would be what we call a socialist state if we've got an administration who's telling you the price of an apple. But we also know that competition is critical. And that's what drives that supply and demand and having competition within the economic system. Right now, we have 6 companies that own and control our groceries. All of our grocery stores fall under these corporations, and we're looking at the possibility of another merger of 2 of those. We know that executives from one of the companies has admitted both in court, there's a release about it again this morning, that they absolutely are marking their groceries and not tracking inflation with them, and some of them have not reduced groceries since COVID. But we know the inflation of the price of those groceries happened during COVID, and we know that some of those things have not gone down. We know that the logistics supply is not as much of an issue, certainly, as it was during COVID. But we're also looking at what happened just recently in terms of our hurricanes and that having an impact of getting stuff in.
So what can you do about prices, since you're
so we have to wrangle in this issue of having corporations creating these. They're not monopolies, you know, but it's on its way. So we have to make sure that there's a real fair and free market, and that means we cannot allow to have any given in any of our economic sectors to have this kind of control.
Okay. Moving on to immigration, which is in most polls the #2 or 3 issue. Your position on immigration right now, the situation with the border, and also paying for things like housing and other necessities for immigrants here in the United States right now.
Yeah, immigration is a huge problem. We know that. It's also a huge boon for our economy. We have people that are here that are migrants, who are working, who are contributing to our economy, who are working and paying taxes and are doing great jobs. But in terms of what's happening at the border, we have a real problem. And this is a problem that's been developing over many years and over many administrations.
But would you say, really, in the last 3 years that it's
escalated. Absolutely. Yes. And we've had opportunities. You know, Senator Langford introduced a bill that would allow us, and it was a great compromise. You know, Alexander Hamilton said that the key to a stable government is compromise.
Right.
And in this situation, we had extreme policymakers unwilling to actually sign up for a bipartisan bill. And listen, I'm not saying that bill would have fixed everything, but I'm saying it's a step in the right direction, and it's going to take those steps.
And obviously there were some lawmakers who said it wasn't. I mean, I've read their quotes and heard from them saying, you know, they want to call this bipartisan, but in reality there was never a chance of this passing because it still allowed too many people every day to come in.
Well, what it also did allow is some building of the wall. It put more people on the ground to help process people. It had stronger law enforcement on the ground. So there were things that actually would have aided. Now, like I said, I don't think it would have fixed everything, but it certainly would have been a step in the right direction. This problem has been around for a long time. It's the immigrants support our economy in many ways. We know that if we were just to deport all immigrants, that we would end up in a circumstance where our economy would implode.
Should they be vetted better, though? Because we have seen reports from ICE saying, hey, there's a percentage of these people that are causing crimes and are actually criminals, and they got in too.
Absolutely, I think we do. It shows the overload on the system. It shows that something has to be done. And in order for that to be achieved, you're going to have people sitting at the table, working together to say, we've got to do something. You know, we have to improve our asylum system. You know, I know for me, my family came over in big boats into New York, and there were thousands of them, and we had a way to process people so they could come and become citizens and work and support our economy. I believe that that is a long-range plan, and we have to take steps towards it.
Moving on to another issue, energy policies. Where, in your opinion, should we be getting our energy? Electricity, our power, our gas? Should we have mandates for things like electric cars, or should we let the market actually dictate how many cars need to be sold as they put out more EV chargers and as more and more companies build them?
Well, I love your idea. You know, I think the reality is we don't have the infrastructure to support an entire electric car system. We just don't. You know, I met with one of the lead operators from Southern Power in D.C. a couple of months ago, and he was talking about the demands that are on our system and that we have to increase all forms of power. But he was saying we've got to look at nuclear power even. We've got to find ways, because right now between AI and cryptocurrency, the amount of energy that is going to be consumed in the next 5 years could put us all at risk for being able to turn our lights on. These are serious issues that have to be addressed. In terms of electric car mandates, we can't do that because we can't support it. So I hear what you're asking, and I agree with you. Taxes and spending. We now have, and I just looked it up as of October 1st, $35 plus trillion in debt. If you want to break that down for anyone who's watching, it's $105,000 per person in America. So every single person who's watching, we all are $105,000 in debt and have nothing. If we were to pay our share, we still would have nothing. So what do we need to do about spending? Because everybody comes in, you say, hey, here's my plan, I want to do this. This person wants this will make it better. But where would you actually cut to deal with the spending, or I'll call it overspending, since we are in debt? Yeah, I think one of the things that led us to this was our last administration, where we give so many tax breaks to corporations and so many tax breaks to the elite wealthy. We see that as we look at the middle class, which sustains our country. I mean, they do it by paying taxes for the less fortunate, and they do it by investing as consumers. If we don't continue to expand the middle class who are paying into that system, then we're going to have a problem, and we're on the brink of that now. We have to require that corporations are contributing their fair share. What is, in your opinion, what is fair share? And I know, and again, don't want to bore people with statistics, but the 1% of our population, very wealthy, they're paying 46% of all federal taxes. So almost half by that 1%. The rest of us, and I assume you're in that too, the 99% of us are paying the other 55%. Sure. So what is the fair share for wealthy or for corporations? Yeah, that's a great question, because I'm not just talking about the 1%. I'm talking about the top 3 to 5%, which includes a lot more folks. I'm talking about corporations. So let's not pretend like I didn't say that, because I said corporations need to be further invested in our economy through taxation. You know, there is a myth that if you are giving tax breaks to huge companies that they can hire more people. But the truth is, if they're doing well, they've got their employees. And we're seeing that that doesn't hold up in terms of data. Well, like right here in Tennessee, we have added, and companies have come. We just had another one announced up by Oak Ridge that it's going to come. We've had other car dealers, they're going to come because they are getting tax breaks. We all remember the big story in New York where Amazon was going to go there, and some people shut it down, and then those jobs went somewhere else. So where do you draw that fine line and saying, hey, we want to give you tax breaks so you'll come, because that creates 100, 200, 300 jobs that are good paying as well? Sometimes it does and sometimes it doesn't. I mean, let's look at the facts. If you are going to not take any taxes, or certainly what I would consider to be fair and reasonable taxes from corporations, and you're going to give incentives, things like we're going to supply your power for you. That's a common one we do here in Tennessee. We're going to help you with your power. That means people that are paying their KU bills are paying for those, those corporations. So we have to find ways to not put it back on the local Tennessean. When things were working great, when people talk about saying they want to go back to the 50s or the 60s, at that time, the wealthiest people in America were paying up to 92% in taxes, And so they were giving back to their communities. They were building hospital wings. And I'm cutting you off just because I really want, last question, just in one or two sentences, why should the people of Tennessee elect you to represent them? Well, I think representation is the key word, and I'll tell you why. We have a very diverse district. We have people in rural communities. We have people that are farmers. We have people in urban centers. We have disparities in terms of our health care, in terms of our our economic moving forward. I think we need to be in a circumstance where Tennessee is attracting industry because we have well-paid, well-educated, well-clothed, well-housed folks that are living here that can show up in those communities. We see that we don't have those industries coming into our rural communities. We need to pay attention to their needs. We need to make sure that you can advocate for a farmer, but you can also advocate for someone who lives in the middle of a city. And that's where I think representation is important, that it can't be one part of your district.
Okay. I appreciate you coming in. Appreciate you answering the questions.
Thank you so much.
I want to get that last one in
I
as well.
appreciate it.
Thank you for coming in.
I appreciate you so much for having me.
Stay with us, everyone. We're going to hear from the other side, the Republican side of the ticket, right after this. Welcome back to Tennessee This Week. In the race for Tennessee's 2nd Congressional District, we just heard from the challenger, Jane George, and now we are hearing from her opponent, incumbent Congressman Tim Burchett. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Burchett.
Thank you.
Congressman Burchett.
Tim's fine.
Tim, I was trying to avoid just that so much. We are going to ask some of the same questions that I just asked Jane George. It starts with the economy, because that is, doesn't matter where you look, what poll in the last 6 months, last 2 years, really, the economy is the #1 issue. What are you going to do? What are your policies going to do to help with prices, inflation, and affordability for houses and rent and things like that?
Well, currently, Tennesseans are paying about $600 more a month out of pocket just to survive. So you multiply that across a year, and
and when you say 600 more compared to
600 more compared to 3 to 4 years ago.
Okay.
And under the Trump administration, actually. And so, you know, I vote against a lot of things, a lot of big spending packages. We spend trillions of dollars, and we really don't know what goes into them. I push for single-issue spending bills like we do in Tennessee in the legislature.
Is there support for something like that? Because I think even the people at home...
In the public there is, but Washington, neither party has the guts to do it. But I'm going to keep pushing for it. And I vote against ridiculous spending bills. For instance, we had a transportation bill, and I'm on the Transportation Committee. And honestly, the bill that came out of the committee was probably something you and I could live with. I don't know your political preferences. You know, I'm fiscally conservative. But I wasn't really in favor of some of it, but it was stuff we could all live with. They took that bill. Speaker Pelosi suspended the rules, took that bill back to her office, rewrote it, was delivered to Congress, and I believe we had maybe 3 or 4 hours to read the bill, but she suspended the rules, so there was no way to amend the bill on the floor. And 85% of that bill was not what you would consider traditional transportation, a lot of special port projects and things like that. I voted against it. And things like that just continue down the line. That's why we're $35 trillion in debt.
Well, what do we do to make sure that inflation is not jumping 6, 5, 9% at a time and staying lower here in the U.S.?
We need to quit printing money is what we need to do, and we need to quit spending money that we don't have. Currently, the latest aid package, for instance, we sent money overseas. I voted against that as well because every dollar of it was borrowed. And in the conflicts that we were supposedly supporting the good guys, we were actually sending money to the bad guys. For instance, we sent money to Taiwan to protect them against China, but a portion of that money, guess what? We borrowed from China. We send money to Ukraine. We sent close to $200 billion now, which is more than FEMA will spend on protecting hardworking Americans. And yet we still had gas contracts with Russia at the beginning of that conflict. And so, in effect, we were on both sides of that war. When we sent money to Israel, this last package, they sent money into Gaza, which I said will be stolen by Hamas. Right. The first shipment was stolen, and the president wanted to build a pier because he didn't want boots on the ground. The pier was destroyed. I was against that as well. It's just, it's never ending that we find ways to throw away hardworking Americans' money. And we're $35 trillion in debt. We add $1 trillion every 100 days, and there's no plan by either party to pay it back. So we need to stop with the reckless spending.
Jumping from the economy to immigration, because again, it's like the second issue on almost everybody's mind. What do we do about the immigration issue? I mean, some people say it is a crisis, some say it's not, but...
Yeah, well, we had a plan and we passed it in the House. It was called H.R. 2, and it built the wall. It hired more agents at the wall, or at the border. I've been to the border, and the agents tell you, without a doubt, the one thing they need to do is just to be able to enforce the dadgum laws. They won't let them enforce the laws. 14 million people that we know of have come across the border, over 100,000 Chinese, people known on the terrorist watch list. As a matter of fact, I made national news yesterday because of allowing a member of called the YouTube Taliban, a guy that had access to all the top layers of the Taliban, was promoting it on YouTube. Now they've let him into this country. Last place he was reported was in North Carolina, oddly enough, because we've got a lot of our people there that were loyal to us over there that we brought in. So there's a huge problem. The fentanyl, everything is coming over our southern border. And the reason, I know the next question, why won't we address it? Because we have to, the Democrats are going to have to admit they have a problem at the border. And that's the problem.
Will it get addressed if Kamala Harris is elected? Will it get addressed if Donald Trump is elected?
I don't think it will under Kamala Harris, because you're seeing as well with dollars that are available, it should be going to Americans. They're flying people in across our border into these areas. They brought them into Tennessee. We've documented it. The White House won't release those numbers, but we know they've done it. We have video footage. We have testimony. And they're actually bringing them in. People think it's to steal an election. Well, indirectly, possibly, but what they do is they're into areas where they're weak in numbers, because people are fleeing these high crime areas and they're moving to places like Tennessee from these Democrat-controlled areas. And so what they do is they boost their census numbers by having a population. It's not necessarily voters. And they fought us, if you remember, on the legislation to say that you had to be an American citizen to be counted in the census. They fought us, and of course Schumer wouldn't even bring it up. So they're currently counting illegals for census numbers.
Your energy policies, what do you think we need to do as far as moving toward more electric vehicles with mandates, or should we be looking at these type of things and let the market actually dictate what we do?
Currently, we have about 3% of the vehicles on the road that are electric vehicles. I know everybody thinks they're everywhere just because you see them, you know, one of those Elon trucks, everybody thinks, wow. But the truth is, with 3%, if we get up to between 7 and 8%, it would shut our electric grid down. What we need to do is let the market decide on that, and the way we do it also is energy independence. We need to be exporting more oil, as we did under Trump. We need to get back more into the nuclear business. We have Oak Ridge National Laboratory in our backyard. We ought to allow those people to go. We need the small modular nuclear reactors where we can centralize in areas where they need to be. And it's also a national security issue. We don't need to be getting into these worthless wars overseas for a barrel of oil. We can get it here. We can develop the energy here. And they always say, well, what about windmills and what about solar? I don't discriminate against any kind of energy, because technology is there, and there's a place for all of that. But you cannot disqualify any of the others, because if it's in the ground, if it's in America, if it saves American lives, we can do it environmentally and cost. You know, if it's not cost prohibitive, I think we ought to get it.
Let's get into health care. Again, it's one of those issues that makes the top 10. Health care in Tennessee, health care in the United States. How do we make it more affordable and better and allow more people to get access to it?
Well, the first thing I think we need to do is make mental health more accessible. But part of the way to do that is remove the stigma about it. You know, I always talk about if you cut your hand, you know, I'm going over here to UT Medical and getting sewed up. Without a question. But if something's going on inside my mind, there's this stigma attached. We need to address mental health as more of a holistic approach. I think also that we need to, we've got a lot of fraud in it. We've got a lot of greed, and we've got a lot of middlemen. We've got these people that have infiltrated basically the system through the insurance and between the medical people, and we do not need to put a bureaucrat between a doctor and the patient.
Last question for you here. What have you done in your time serving in Congress that would give you or deserve the vote of the Tennessee people once again to go back for another 2 years?
Well, that's a great question. And a lot of people point to legislation. I've sponsored legislation. I've passed legislation. There's no question of that. But the number one thing we do is we answer the phone. We have created in government an incredibly horrible, I think, bureaucracy. And I would dare say my office is the best at handling that, taking care of our constituents, whether they need a passport, a visa, or they have health care issues, disability issues. Our veterans, we bend over backwards, and we should, to protect them and take care of them. And And so I would say that. And two, most Tennesseans, when I run for office, the way I do it is I don't raise the big money like some of my colleagues do. I knock on doors. And people will tell you, I don't need any more laws. Stay off my back. Just pick up the phone when I call, and that's what we do best of all.
All right. Well, that's going to be the final word. You appreciate you coming in and answering our questions. We are going to take a break, and when we come back, our political pundits will sit down and talk about what you just heard. Stay with us. Welcome back to Tennessee This Week. We just heard from both candidates for Tennessee's 2nd Congressional District, Republican incumbent Congressman Tim Burchett, his Democratic challenger Jane George. Join us now to kind of unpack some of what they had to say. Our WATE political pundits, Craig Griffith, hello, Michael Covington, and Shelley Breeding, who is in for Courtney Piper. I know we don't have a whole lot of time to get into this, so I'm just going to ask you what stood out and your reaction to their answers to any of those questions.
Well, I will start out by saying that, as both candidates acknowledge, there's no plan at the national level to deal with the nation's debt or deficit. If you look at the plans for both the Democrats and the Republicans, they're massive spending programs with no way to pay for them. And it seems that every other day it comes out with a new plan, just like earlier this week there was a plan put out by former President Trump to allow deductions on the loans for cars. So it just seems like whatever audience he's in front of, he gives them a fiscal treat. So unless we come up with a plan to handle the debt, which means you have to address Medicare and Social Security and health care provisions of the federal government, you cannot deal with it.
All right. Shelley, what stood out for you?
I mean, I think seeing Tim Burchett, he's not the same Burchett that he was when he went to Congress. Hearing him say that he didn't want to see a bureaucrat between a doctor and a patient stood out to me as a woman on reproductive rights, that we have the strict abortion laws. So we have put bureaucrats between patient and doctor in those situations. But he's not the same person. You know, as Craig is saying about funding bills, Tim Burchett said he's voted against them. He voted to defund NATO. He's just not the same person, I think, that went to D.C., and it's been an interesting evolution to watch when he voted as one of the 8 far-right conservatives who voted to oust Speaker McCarthy. I think he's lost his ability to really carry weight within the Republican Party. So that stood out to me, just seeing the differences in him since he was elected to where he is now.
And Michael, your take, you can address that or any other issue.
Don, I was really pleased to see Jane George and Tim Burchett together in the same place. I listened to their comments. I wasn't surprised by anything that Jane said or anything that Tim said. I was just glad that after they finished taping, they were able to just have a conversation, which means our politics can be better. And if our politics can be better, we can affect some solutions if we just sit down and work them out. What Craig said is absolutely accurate. No solutions. But if you put the right people in the room together, a solution or solutions can be arrived at.
Do you truly believe that?
I do.
Right, with the people that we have in Washington and the situation we have?
Not with the people that we have now.
It doesn't matter who gets elected, Donald Trump or Kamala Harris. Do we have any solutions to the really big problems?
Oh, absolutely not. The parties are so far apart now on a majority of things, and it gets, and it starts with spending,
right? Because
that is what Congress is supposed to handle. Their one job is to pass a budget, and until they come to grips on passing a budget for the direction that the country is going to go in, we're going to have nothing but political grandstanding and playing to individual bases of the parties, and no long-term solutions will evolve.
And we only have 20 seconds, do we need to get to where it's just one bill at a time so that we can take these issues without adding things to it?
I think it's impossible to do on a federal level. Yeah. I just don't think it's possible. I wish we could, but we need more people like Kamala Harris who are not going to stoke the fire. I mean, President Trump's comments, it's just not helping things.
Okay. Well, we're going to leave it with that. That's the last comment. We want to thank you for watching Tennessee This Week, and we'll see you back here next week.
The views of guests on Tennessee This Week are their own and do not represent the views of WATE 6 on your side or Next Star Broadcasting.